My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Welcome back, folks. Today, zooming in from close to beautiful San Francisco, California, we've got Spencer Hilligoss, who is a very accomplished tech guy. He comes from the whole tech valley scene and has been involved in a lot of really, really successful tech startups. And a number of years ago, he made the switch into real estate investing, and he's got some really cool stuff on the go. He is a co-GP on a lot of different projects. He also has a real estate investing club, and he's gotten really good at showing other tech type people the big benefits of this old, ancient, boring thing called real estate. So, Spencer, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Great to be here, Dave. Thanks so much for having me on.
My pleasure. So, give us a big picture snapshot of what your real estate investing endeavors look like as of the end of August 2024.
Yeah, happy to. So these days, to your point, I run an investing club called Madison Investing, and never planned on it being a full-time focus after tech. But what we do these days is look for great teams, sponsors, particularly doing bigger projects, apartments, multifamily, self-storage. It's kind of the other half of that big focus for us. I like the boring, big stuff, frankly, that is predictable, that you can buy at a great price, and that over time you can add some value to and sell later. And so that's what we started doing. That's what I started investing in after going through a brief go buy some rentals, single family rentals phase. I
heard this, the underlying thing, a brief experience of that. So I'm guessing being a landlord did not really resonate with you.
I think you said it well. And so to be clear though, I think that rentals are a great way to grow out long-term wealth. And we still have, we got up to a portfolio before we went into bigger deals. And we bought local duplex here in the Bay Area. Purchase price, this is years ago, but $430,000.
That's a good deal in the Bay Area. Holy
in
smokes.
the Bay Area.
Yeah.
But if you don't know what cash flow investing means, you end up with paying for $30K for $200 a month in cash flow and saying, well, geez, that wasn't a good idea. But lo and behold, sure, it's appreciated a lot. We're grateful for that, and it's stabilized. But we went on about up to 5 single family rentals in the Midwest. $60K average purchase price, mind-blowingly affordable at the time. $250 a month on average cash flow, outstanding until you find out, well, gee, rentals are semi-passive at best, Dave.
Yeah, at best, at very best. And then 1 month's vacancy kind of sucks up a lot of that $250 a month of cash flow.
Yeah, well said. I mean, that was basically that you summed up that entire portfolio, small portfolio we built in the Midwest. Great economics month to month, one turn of the tenant, all the, blows out all the finances for the year, right? And so we sold those when I was still working full time, which was up until October 2019, 5 months before COVID. I pulled the ripcord, left behind my leadership gig in tech companies, and by that time I'd already started not just buying rentals, but we'd started investing in LP positions, limited partner spots in big apartment buildings and syndications in Texas and Alabama, Sunbelt, and we caught the wave. We had, of course, everyone in real estate loves to say it's not about timing the market, it's about timing the market. I believe in that platitude. However,
well, you picked a good time to get in the market, though. That we could
that's
say
right.
That. Yes.
That's right. Totally agree. And so we caught the wave, right? And exited 13 projects within a matter of about 3.5 years. And because 2021 was a heck of a year, right? And all that to say, now what we do is really, we've learned so much in applying the rigorous lens that I learned in tech companies and financial tech companies, companies like Intuit, applying that to how do you find great teams, to look at the team, the market, and the deal itself, but heavily weighted on the team, heavily weighted on the who, and along the way, figuring out when sometimes you could go a bit further, right? Than you initially did. So, happy to speak more to that, but that's really what we do is we try to find great teams doing great deals, and then we invest in them and share that with our club members.
Very cool. So explain to me how the club came to be, Spencer. When did you come up with that idea, and how did you get that rolling?
It was organic, Dave. I was still working full time and grateful to have a network that was robust in tech companies. You know, you work for 13 years in any industry, you're going to meet a few folks.
Yeah.
Jennifer, who's my co-founder of our company, COO, and my wife, that's a separate podcast. But she and I, we were looking at, well, we love investing in these deals. You know, I doubled my money in a short period of time on one of these apartment deals.
Wow. Yeah.
That happens in a couple other times. And then people in your network and your coworkers say, well, that sounds great. How do I get in one of these? Um, Full disclosure, I did grow up in a real estate household. So it's not my first foray. I was working open houses and, cleaning out fridges at properties for my dad when I was a teenager and younger. My last tech company was inside the guts of the biggest fix and flip lender in the country. So I was, running origination for lending home. They're now called Kiavi. So I wasn't a total real estate rookie per se, diving in to get more active. But when people said, "Hey, we want to get into these deals and figure out how can you help us figure out which ones are with trustworthy people, competent people, and how do you ensure that the deal is a good one, the market's a good one?" Mm-hmm. And they didn't want to get on a plane, like people don't want to fly out.
They're smart folks, but they don't necessarily want the learning curve that you've gone through to
That's right.
This all figured out. Right.
Exactly right. I devoured, I think, 24 books in an 18-month period at that point. I was going pretty hardcore, over the top. It was a bit excessive, I'd say, in hindsight, Dave. You don't need to read that many books. You just got to go get involved in deals.
There's nothing wrong with reading a few books, that's for sure.
No, sure. And so that was labor of love, though. At that point, it really became clear we're solving for a need here that is legitimate. And if we do right by this process, and we have like a 5-part vetting process we now use, looking at teams specifically, just at the who, not the where or the what, but just the who on a passive investment. That's everything, and so we apply that framework starting with our own investments, and then a business was built around that. And never was the master plan up front, but now we have hundreds of folks in our group that actively invest, and just grateful for that journey.
So if you don't mind, without sharing the entire secret sauce, but big picture overview, what does that 5-part vetting process look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, here's the big buckets. We're not going to, to your point, Dave, we're not going to go through the spreadsheet rows, but we'll say, the track record, approach, team.
Approach. You mean the strategy that they're following? Like,
yeah, and I can define them as we go through. So like track record, approach, team, communications, and values. And for approach, to your point, I would say this is the one that has evolved most significantly pre and post COVID, pre and post. I don't know what we're going to call this era of high interest rates, but it's going to have some kind of catchy name in a few years.
Going back to normal, that's what we call it.
Yeah, we'll call it going back to normal, right? I think that's fair. So approach would be, okay, you can look at a great team, a beautiful investment summary that says, wow, check out these target returns. And the team can even have a killer track record. They bought a building, they improved the building, they sold it, or they refi, cashed out all their investors, and they're all happy. Timing does matter of how they got those. So, you could spot plenty of great teams. They exited great looking deals, amazing economics, happy investors in 2021. However, are they up for the task? And so approach is really about looking at, can they go execute a business plan? Do they have a defined strategy? Have they done it before? I mean, same really basic, simple principles to, when I was hiring some folks, entry-level folks or leadership folks in the tech companies, you want to make sure the person who's coming in for a job is up for the task because they've done it before, they can articulate it in detail, and this is not their first rodeo. And so track record can also mask stuff. And the whole point of approach is really to make sure. I'll give you one more specific example for the real estate folks out there, because that's who we're all, talking to. Repeatable sourcing of materials. If you're going to go do renovations, and particularly in the last few years, there's been so much crazy happenings on supply chain disruptions. Is the wood sourcing for a sponsor or a team reliable? Do they have redundancy in their ability to pull that lumber over and to their project? Or talent, do they have a really robust network to bring in the labor to do the work? And do they have redundancy in that? Just giving one specific example to make it more tangible for folks, because if they can't articulate it in writing, on paper, then maybe it was a fluke that they had that great exit.
Yeah, most definitely. Okay, well, thank you very much for kind of giving us the big picture overview. I got a short memory, so I remember the first two. What were the other three after that one? After the approach?
Yeah. So like track record, team, track record, approach, team, communication, and values. So the third one would be team. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, very, very cool. So, Spencer, you've created this club of tech people that are part of your investing club. What do you find being to be some of the challenges with educating tech people about something like real estate, if any, or do they just kind of catch on to it right away?
I think that is an outstanding question, Dave. I mean, clearly asked by a person who, has your own stories as well, which we can chat about offline. I will say this is, the roughly half of our investors are tech folks, other folks from across the country, entrepreneurs and beyond. But when talking with, my brethren, although I haven't been in
Yeah,
tech now for about 5 years, still call them my brethren. I am so grateful to have been surrounded by people at the highest levels of academic achievement, professional achievement, people with way higher IQs than I ever had, Dave. And I will say that the tendency is this. Here's where it goes wrong. And I thought this too. When I was first looking at passive deals, I was looking at apartment buildings, self-storage deals, big funds, interesting stuff that cash flows. And I thought, well, let's just look at the numbers. Let's just scrutinize the numbers because that's familiar. There's no
yeah,
shortage of incredible spreadsheet jockeys, people that can run circles around me, write macros all day, data scientists, engineers, software engineers, developers, et cetera. These are folks who are excellent, high functioning professionals making incredible W-2 income. And they'll go straight to what they know, which is scrutinizing the numbers. And unfortunately for them, that is this one of the smallest percentages when you're first analyzing a passive deal. If I had to put a weight on it between the team, the market, and the deal, over 90% of the weighting for de-risking these things is the who.
hmm,
And really focusing on that first and learning as a passive investor, helping them understand here's how you can go about looking at a team and seeing are they up for the task and have they done this before? Because as you described it up front, I love the way you did it too, Dave. Like this is an old business, one of the oldest, if not the oldest. And to that end, a perfect business plan on paper. And that what I've learned now, having been in these deals for 5-7 years in some cases, the plan, you know, that doesn't always follow exactly. You get hit with a global pandemic. You get
yeah,
hit with a higher interest rate environment than the one you signed up for initially. And sometimes a person in an apartment building decides to set a fire, like just stuff
yeah.
happens. And so where does the spreadsheet come in when those events happen? Well, what really matters is a competent team, and so that's the discussion. That's the education focus first. And then of course, I'm not writing off market matters, of course, the sub market, go down to the block. Everybody else say, oh, I love Texas. Be like, well, it's a
It's a
big
pretty big place.
it's a pretty big place. I mean, just a big focus for us has been the Dallas Fort Worth MSA, and as a guy who's lived outside of California for a decade in Colorado, going out to a place like Dallas, just as an example, I mean, there's a triple digit number of individual cities just within Dallas when people say Dallas, and so like it's tough to articulate the value of going not just down to the state. That doesn't mean the market. I mean, going down to the city, going down to the block, hyper local stuff.
Yeah.
And so those are the principles in the market that I think are worth highlighting as well.
Well, I wonder, Spencer, if, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't dealt with that many tech people, but sometimes what they're expecting or aspiring to as far as return on investment, when they're quote unquote surrounded by all of these overnight successes and tech billionaires, and they've got buddies that have struck it rich in Silicon Valley. How do you get them excited about the kind of returns that they're likely to get, which are still, they're attractive for the average person? But I'm thinking for some tech people, it might be like, ooh, why put my money there if I could
Mm.
theoretically do so much better in Silicon Valley? What are your thoughts about that?
Gosh, that's a good question. One of the profiles that you're describing is, I would say a lot of folks in tech like the angel investing playbook,
Yeah,
and so they'll look for a 25x equity multiple, and that sounds outstanding. And then I'm not advocating for an either or scenario. One thing I'll caveat before I answer specifically is going to be, I have really learned this lesson in spades at this point, which is great investing is the word and. It's not like myopic real estate all day. It's about have a portfolio, that suits one's goals. So
Yeah.
all that to say, though, a person who is going too heavy into one area of investing that is high risk, high reward, as evidenced by like something like a 25x equity multiple in angel investing, just as an example. I mean, that can't be your primary focus all the time. And when it comes to real estate, what I have found to be the biggest benefits have been more predictability when done right. The cash flow, it can actually produce cash flow. And you actually have a wonderful hard asset that sits there with an address.
Yeah.
It's a real thing in the real world. If it's an apartment building, it's hopefully a community full of human beings and families that has provided a safe, comfortable place to live. If it's something like a self-storage facility, then people can store their goods there, and their toys, their goods, or stuff they want to forget about. But they play a real role in society, and they're performing these functions. And so, there's other financial benefits, of course. Love the tax.
It's not going to disappear overnight in the click of a mouse kind of thing, as can happen in certain circumstances. Yeah, no, I like what you said there. It's not either or. It's showing them how this fits in.
Yes.
To their, it's spreading a little bit of risk there within their investing strategy or whatever they're doing, and putting something solid and tangible and boring aside for that steady growth. And if they hit a home run on the tech side, God bless them, but at least they've got this steady Eddie investment helping them out on the sides.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, well, that's excellent. Spencer, this has been fantastic. If people want to connect with you, if they want to find out more, if they want to check out your club, where should they go?
Yeah, over at madisoninvesting.com. That's just our homepage. People can sign up and we could book a call together and just nerd out on real estate investing. But thank you, Dave. This has been a blast.
This has been really good. All right. Thank you very much. And everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode. Hey there. I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now, at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.